I have received a question asked for which Pokemon one should hunt just throughout the game, but particularly at the start of the game. And so in this video, I'll be covering 5 of the best berry specialists in Pokemon Sleep. Now, overall, berry specialists are super important, even more so than cooking for the most part. That may change in the future, but for now, if you can target some of these berry specialists that are really powerful, you can build a really good team for the Snorlax. Now, I covered the category of healing Pokemon the other day, showcasing Wigglytuff, Gardevoir, and Sylveon. And so I highly recommend you to check out that video later on. And so in this video, we'll go over 5 berry specialists. The first Pokemon I wanted to have a look at here is Dodrio. Overall, I would say Dodrio is overlooked these days. It seems to be a little bit overshadowed by some of the other berry specialists that we'll come to in a bit. But I would say Dodrio, even late game, is a very good Pokemon that is definitely one to consider. One of the reasons for that is that it's available early on, and you can get a good Dodrio and just carry it into the following areas whenever you need berries, and it is super fast. That 40-minute frequency mark is just really fast, and the thing with Dodrio though that holds it back a little bit is the Palm Tree Berry. It has a low base value, but because Dodrio is so fast, it kind of makes up for it, and especially at Cyan Beach, where the Palm Tree Berry is a favored berry. Now, the other thing that I personally find to be a bit overlooked is its main skill. Most people will run a healing Pokemon, Wigglytuff, Sylveon, and Gardevoir, and so for the most part, you won't really run out of energy if you have a really strong healer. But even then, a Charge Energy S Pokemon can be quite useful because for the most part, if you have a healer Pokemon and a Pokemon that has Charge Energy S, this Pokemon is just going to camp out at 120, 30, 40, 50% all day, and you can switch it in out without really having to think about the energy recovery when you sleep. And so overall, I would say Dodrio is definitely a Pokemon to hunt for, no matter where you are in the game. And it can be found at the Greengrass Isle and not at Cyan Beach, even though it's really good at Cyan Beach. So it's at Greengrass and Lakeside. Lakeside is a little bit late, but overall, definitely a Pokemon to consider. Next up, we have Feraligatr. And if we have a look here at the speed, we can see that it's a little bit slower, but the base value of the Oranberry is so much higher that overall, Feraligatr is a much better Pokemon than Dodrio. So you will frequently see people running multiple Feraligatr instead of having one Feraligatr and one Dodrio, even at Cyan Beach. And so the way to go there is to look for Totodile. Now, what's interesting with both Doduo and Totodile is they are slumbering type sleep Pokemon, which means if you do a nap session where you either put your phone away for around 2 hours or the Pokemon Go++, you'll get a very flat sleep graph, which is pretty much going to be a slumbering session. And at that point, you can target the Igglybuff, which I cover in my healing video. You can target Doduo, and you can target Totodile. And at that point, you're pretty much set for the first 2 aisles by a landslide, because having a really good healer and a couple really good berry specialists is just very powerful. And after that, you can even carry the Feraligatr and the healer and the Dodrio into Taupe Hollow, which is the 3rd area. And then when you make it to Taupe Hollow, you will be able to encounter Syndic Quil. And Typhlosion overall is a very strong Pokemon. It is among the strongest Pokemon in the whole game, and is definitely worth the S tier ranking. Now, the frequency you can see here is 40. It's same as Dodrio, but the Lepa Berry has an even higher value than the Palm Tree. And so overall, the Typhlosion is pretty strong. It also has a little bit of help from that Charge Strength S in terms of the overall output when it has 2 evolutions. So it goes from Syndic Quil to Quilava into the Typhlosion. So you get the Charge Strength level 3, which is pretty decent. Now, Syndic Quil is a SNOOZING type Pokemon, which means it'll be more difficult to encounter. It is possible to find it at the Greengrass Isle, as well as Taupe Hollow, but for the most part, you'll be finding the Syndic Quil at Taupe Hollow, and you can use your Drio and for Alligator and your healer, and just build up that friendship level, because you want to look for Syndic Quil over and over again until you reach the level 10 friendship, and at that point, you have a good chance of getting Berry Finding in that first slot. And once you get a Berry Finding Syndic Quil with at least a couple decent sub-skills and perhaps a strong nature as well, you'll be pretty set for a good while. The next Pokemon I want to have a look at is Walrein. And Walrein is a Pokemon you can even start looking for right at the beginning. Overall, I would say Walrein may be one of, if not the best Pokemon in the whole game. It is insane. It is a slumbering Pokemon, so you'll find it in your nap sessions. It is to be found at Greengrass, at Cyan Beach, and at Snowdrop Tundra, which is Area 4, where the Walrein will have its berry as one of the favored berries. That was something I forgot to mention in the other part here with Typhlosion. The Leppa berry is favored at Taupe Hollow, and so it'll be really strong at Taupe Hollow. And overall, the Walrein is interesting because the Rost berry is pretty high value. So even though Walrein is fairly slow, it is getting a lot of value out of the berry here. And overall, the skill trigger rate is okay. And so with the ingredient magnet, you will be getting a few ingredients from time to time too. Now, if you've seen my daily research videos, then you might have come across Sveal. It's a legendary player, got a lot of berry specialists, just multiple of the same species, and Walrein is one of those really strong Pokemon. And so you can get a lot of berry value and quite a bit of ingredients too, if you are to power up that ingredient magnet. And so overall, definitely a Pokemon to look for just throughout the whole game. Now, the final Pokemon that I wanted to have a look at here is Meganium. What's very interesting with Pokemon Sleep overall is there are so many of these Pokemon that in the main series are just never seen, not useful, but in Pokemon Sleep, they just shine like no other Pokemon. So Meganium and Walrein, Pokemon you never see in the main series, just take over Pokemon Sleep. Now, what's interesting with the Meganium is the Duran Berry is a decent value, and it's pretty fast. It's not the fastest, but it's pretty good. Now, this combo is really strong, especially at Lakeside, which is the 5th area, where the Duran Berry is a favored berry. And what's somewhat interesting too with the Meganium is its ingredients. Now, the skill trigger rate is also pretty high, you can see, as a berry specialist. And the charge strength S is pretty strong too. But what really sets Meganium apart is the Lapis Lakeside favored berry, its speed, but also the ingredient list. It's very strange. It doesn't really have a very strong ingredient drop rate, but the number of ingredients that Meganium gets at a time here is very significant. It's got 3 honey and 2 cacao. Typically for a berry specialist, you'll see 2 honey and 1 cacao. And so these are very strong values. And to get 3 leeks at level 60, that is really, really strong. An ingredient specialist may have 4, and it's just crazy like that. So if you somehow can score a Meganium with berry finding and at least some of these good ingredients, it's going to be a very strong Pokemon, particularly at Lakeside. Now, overall, I would say getting the honey and the cacao on the Meganium will be more important than the leeks. The reason for that is the cacao and the honey, they stack really well during dessert weeks, and so Meganium will be like super useful then during dessert weeks because you can get a lot of honey, potentially a lot of cacao, and overall it's just a really strong Pokemon. So if you're looking for some berry specialist or just some overall guidance on which Pokemon you should zoom in on and try to get that berry finding for, then yeah, I recommend Drio for Alligator, Typhlosion, Walrein, and Meganium. So I hope you found this video helpful. Check the video description for some more resources and also the comments if some of you experienced players have left a little bit of an essay for everyone. Now, hope you found this video helpful and thank you for watching.